Arigato ohayou gozaimasu. Steve Izaki, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, man.
Hey, thank you very much.
For all my Yanks kicking
Yeah,
kicking around. It's not
yeah,
a tradition that we have where I'm from, New Zealand, Australia, and Anna from Russia. It's very unique to the USA, but we know it's a big day. It's
sure
like
is.
probably the biggest holiday for you guys, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think mostly it's because you get off of work, so you know everybody's happy about getting off of work.
Well, brother, thank you so much for coming on Thanksgiving Day. I'm very
Yeah,
thankful for you to do
absolutely. I'm
that.
dedicated. I'm dedicated. I want to bring you to the goodness. What better day is a day that's traditionally known for being thankful and what we're grateful for.
Amen, brother. Well, we haven't known each other super duper long time, but we kind of came together in really extraordinary circumstances in Orlando early this year. But
That's right.
I know, having not been on the show before, people in my circle of influence haven't had much exposure to you yet. Like, who are you, Steve?
Okay. I am a normal guy with a not so normal mission, right? An average guy with a not so average mission. Yeah, I just want to, just plainly, I just want to be empowered to assist others with living empowered lives. Okay, that's a very general statement. But all in all, that is where my heart is at. Personally, the things that I do, things that I've been, my passions, basically, obviously music. You can see back here. I've done music the majority of my adult life, pretty much without getting paid for it. So um, I have I've since then um, pretty much figured. I'm in the process of completely figuring out what I want to do to tap into to be able to serve our human community. And uh, I don't know. Long story short, in 2016, my wife was diagnosed with not an illness, not a terminal illness, but uh, chronic pain from fibromyalgia, from endometriosis, amongst other things, and it really changed our lives. We both had it. We both had it made working for her parents' IT company, which we had. Basically, the company had no competition this side of New Jersey, and we're on the West Coast. We're in California, right? And so we're pretty much set. But um, my wife, she actually, she was diagnosed 2016, and she ended up having to stop working, and I had to end up stop working to take care of her because there wasn't much support, and the mystery disease, women's disease, there wasn't much support out there. So I had to figure out how am I going to figure out how am I going to take care of her, and however much it costs, how am I going to be able to afford that, right? And so that's when I dove into digital marketing, or that's not digital marketing, but just digital business. I at that point I thought to myself, I better learn how to make money on the internet like these other gurus and digital business entrepreneurs. So from 2016 till now, that's what I have dedicated myself to. So we're at the point where we're actually doing good, and but now I want to take it to the next level.
That's so good. And isn't it funny, Steve? Like these experiences we have in life just kick our ass, put us on the ground,
Oh
boot
yeah,
us a few times when we're down. It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes as well. So how
absolutely.
are things? How are things with the wife now? Like how's the recovery?
Yeah, things are better. It's been a long, hard road of trying to figure it out and learn our own, because we don't have much help from the medical system, and everything's controlled, right, and money profit driven. So to get real answers, we've had to take our journey, our health journey, learning about holistic medicine, and just all everything that's out there, offered on the internet and even off the internet, right? But things are better now. We've got a great understanding. I call her, she has a computer brain. So whatever she looks into, she retains the information, and she pretty much has the information just as good as any specialist or expert out there. Whatever she studies. So we have a great control, a control over it, and we're still working on it. Basically, just the better we create our lifestyle, the better that her health will be, and then we can get to the point where we're getting her back to her professional aerial arts person that she was coming up with before she got diagnosed. Yeah, everything's better now, and um, I've had lots of success with a digital marketing agency that I helped build for the past 3 years. We've been having lots of success for our clients. We're a digital marketing agency. We Facebook ads, all the funnels, just the whole thing. And we've been making contractors. We've been making them very wealthy. And so I've been in there learning, and I I figured out, want to get, I got to copy our success, leverage our success, but do it for my own brand and do it for myself. This phase of my life and career.
Well, when you say making your clients a lot of money, like I'll give you an opportunity to Skype because where we met was at Funnel Hacking, right?
Yep.
Funnel Hacking in Orlando.
hmm
And why were you guys in Orlando? Why were you guys heading to that event?
We were there because of we were receiving an award. Um, it's called the Two Comma Club X Award. The previous year we won the Two Comma Club Award, which means through one funnel, the ClickFunnels platform, through one funnel, $1 million has gone through, and in within less than a 2 year period, we've had 10 million dollars go through the same funnel. So we were eligible for the Two Comma Club X Award, and that's why we were there.
It's so good. And so for people that don't know, I think the numbers that exist, there might be 60 people in the history of ClickFunnels that have done those numbers, maybe 40.
Yeah, I mean, I was amazed when I saw how little amount of people or organizations got that award. So, I hold that award very prestigious, and I hold it dear in my heart that we've accomplished that, as a group, as a company, and so I realize I have access. I'm privy to a lot of cutting edge information. So I want to take that information and apply it towards my own personal mission, my own personal brand. And basically, I've even just from the last time I talked to you, which was it was a couple of weeks ago, right? Spoke on the phone, had a nice long, deep conversation. Um, I've been, this whole time, in this period of time of the 3 years of building the digital marketing agency, I always knew I wanted to have my own brand. As a matter of fact, I started off uh, tapping into learning uh, personal development online, right? Coaching. Brendan Burchard was the one I tapped into. I tapped on a Facebook ad, and I opted into his, his
Yeah, yeah.
funnel. Right, got me. I was his perfect ICA, and it worked. So I spent thousands of dollars on his coaching products. Got to the point of buying his high ticket item of seeing him live on stage and stuff. So um, that really moved me. That was in 2016, and that really it really moved me. It really got me to from you know um, not a small minded person, but a person with limited I wouldn't say limited beliefs either, but just had a cap on it. There was a cap that I had to break through. I guess you could say I had like some low self-esteem and such, things like that I didn't, um, I had a breakthrough, which I did, going through the courses. And so that really moved me to feel like I want to do the same. I want to do the same for others. And so, um, I'm coming full circle around to, like I said, my own brand of coaching, and I've narrowed it down. First, I wanted to just do personal development, but then I wanted to advance it to more serving. They say niche down, right? So I was gearing it towards digital marketing, agency owners, and helping them to, you know, break free from their working in the business to on the business and ownership. And but then I started thinking, who really is my tribe? Like, you know, digital marketing agency owners wasn't my passion, right? So what I did was I came full circle to realizing that making music was my passion. That's really music in general, listening to it, making it. That's been my passion, and so I had to kind of turn around and basically be a product of my own product, which at the beginning of my personal development program has, it's based on the seven principal pillars, of life. And it's basically spirituality, mentality, physicality, your passions, which is an extension of yourself. Then it would be relationships, which is you expressing with others and creating relationships. And then tapping into wealth build, number 6, and then number 7 being your life's mission and finding your purpose and your give back. So I realized I was working on the number 6, which is the wealth build or cash flow, right? But also I was lacking on my passions, because I in a ways I thought of my music was something other than professional, because I didn't want it to be like tainted from industry stuff, or just, you know what I mean, just the one thing in an artist's mind is like not being influenced by profit and money and all that. But I soon got to the point of realizing that if I make it all one thing and I keep true to my beliefs and what's real in my heart, then um, you know getting learning about coaching, getting compensated for serving others with that you're passionate about, there shouldn't be a limitation to that. And I learned from another gentleman by the name of um, uh, Myron Golden. He I read his book, Boss Moves, and he talked about money being spiritual. Okay, it's and it just that touched me, and it made me realize, yeah, it's like in a spiritual, we could limit spirituality just by with our mind, with our mind. And same with a relationship towards money. So now it's just open. I'm just open to limitless success.
So let me ask you a question, Steve, because I'm a
Sure.
big fan of both Brendan Burchard and Myron Golden. And it's funny, Anna, my wife, picked up a Brendan Burchard book in the airport
Awesome.
when we were back in Australia like a year and a half ago, and she fell in love with it as well. I was like, really? Oh, that's interesting. If a lot of the people in my network, a lot of people that watch the show are entrepreneurs. Some of them are starting out. Some of them are a little way down. The economy is a bit challenging for some people right now. What would you say to someone that was down to their last $100?
um, and basically I would say, of course, dig deep. But as far as mindset, the person with the the right mindset, having $100, they would know what to do with it and invest it in the right things. But I would also say further than that, rather than the $100 that you have, is dig deep into your unlimited resource of your soul, of your soul, and even attachment to a, a more spiritual, right? Tap into that spirituality of I'd like to call it high function, right? Spirit of high function. um Tap into that, because we have more than just money. Money would be a tool. We have unlimited resource. And thinking about the what's the commodity on the internet is information. So dig deep into what information that you have from your personal experiences, which is what I believe makes everybody unique, their own personal experiences, right? Tap into those and come up with a package, be able to package your information where it can help somebody. It takes some homework, but if you only have $100 but you have a bunch of time, you know that's another resource. Use your time, exchange your time for opportunities, to and learn. Well, number one, learn who you have to be to get to where you want to be. And then number two, actually take those steps to do it. So that's what I would say.
It's a tough question. I've thrown you under the bus, so I didn't give you the heads up on this. It's funny, that spiritual experience I'm still figuring out the energy dynamic with regards to money, because a lot of it, and I talk about this quite a lot. A lot of the habits that I learned as a young boy were from mum and dad and from uncles and aunties, and we grew up in poverty, right? With no money for large periods of time, but which isn't a problem because it's very character building and you become very resourceful. But the issue was, Steve, it was poverty mindset.
That's right.
Right. So apart from and I've done a lot of work, a lot of reading, a lot of trying to associate with people that are already achieving, right? Which is why I love kicking around with you guys. What advice would you give to people to allow them to know that they're on the right track from a healing, from a financial, being okay with being financially abundant, if you understand that question?
Of okay with being a financially abundant, in other words?
Let me re-ask it because I'm going a bit of a tangent there. How do people know that they're on the right path when it comes to growing up in a poverty mindset childhood to trying to flip that and unlearn, de-learn, and then relearn the functional stuff? How do they know they're on the right path?
Well, I guess I could only speak from personal experience. Does it feel not? Yeah, I mean, is it congruent with what you're feeling inside, as far as what you're doing, how you made that money, how it's kind of like because our minds are powerful, right? More powerful than we really know, right? We really, and your mind will tell you if you know you made that dollar in the right way or you didn't, right? And so,
Like in alignment, you're talking about.
In alignment with basically your morals and ethics, and basically always bringing it back. I like to keep things simple and fundamental, tapping back into your why you're doing that thing in the first place. What is your mission? What is your purpose? And that's why I always like to talk about purpose and vision and mission, and how that ties in, because that's really the most important. What influences and what motivates us. So if you're making that money and you're doing exactly what you set out to do at the very beginning, that ties to your mission, then you would know, and you would know if you weren't. So I think it's just trust what's inside.
Okay, yeah, great advice. I'm assuming, Steve, that it hasn't been a linear journey for your success. So share with us, if you can, any moments of rock bottom along this journey, particularly with financial.
Okay. I've had a lot more rock bottom than than the financial success, but so I guess I mean, when I started off, I was born to a blue collar working dad and mom from the neighborhood in East LA. My dad, he's a Japanese man. My mom's Chicana, Mexican American. And the funny thing is he was an original lowrider from East LA, but a Japanese guy. So he grew up like a Chicano. All right. So
What's Chicano mean? Is it the cross?
Chicano is Mexican American, Mexican descent, born in the United States.
Chicano. All right, I'm practicing my Spanish here in Mexico, so
Okay,
it's
that's
a good
right.
word to know too.
That's right.
Which is good.
So we were just. I mean, he worked for the city, the Department of Water Power in LA. So we were steady, we were steady, but we weren't wealthy, but we weren't rock bottom poor. So I'd have friends that were rock bottom poor, right? But so I grew up with having things, having toys, skateboards, obviously guitars. So I wasn't I wasn't spoiled, but I wasn't completely just needy, right? But as I got older, you gotta make your way in the world. And one thing my dad, his advice to me was to get a good job and stay there and retire, which worked for him, and it worked for a lot of people. But for me, it didn't sit well at all. Every time I would get a job, I would start after a few months. I would just start feeling anxious because I was starting to feel trapped, and so um, I was basically I'd end up I'd end up letting myself get fired. And then I'd pursue the things I wanted to pursue because I felt more like very creative, and so I always felt like I needed to be creative, riding skateboards or making music or painting or whatever, doing anything that artistic. So that's why I have a heart for the artistpreneur. I want to serve the artistpreneur community with as much as I can. And so a lot of times I did a lot of couch surfing, not necessarily homeless, but couch surfing. But um, I did a lot of that. I got to the point when I was 21 years old. Well, 20 years old. I joined the Army, U.S. Army, the reserves. I learned to be a pharmacy specialist, which is equivalent to a pharmacy technician, civilian. I went in there, got my training, got out, got a job at the local, not the local, the HMO, Kaiser, which is very big. And so I started, I was working part time, trying to go to school, get my regular classes. But I really felt I felt once again I started feeling trapped. I worked there 4 years, and I think I did that to please my parents, but I ended up, I call it retired. I retired at 25. I basically just retired from the standard way of doing things. I thought to myself at that point, I'm thinking, I'm just going to choose to be a loser and just go play my guitar. All right. Which is what I did from 25 all the way till almost 40 years old. That's what I did. And so I played my guitar. It's fun. The funny thing is, here's a joke. What do you call a guitar player who broke up with his girlfriend? Homeless. All right. So I had that lifestyle for a while, but then I got to the point where I guess my street entrepreneurialism kicked in, and at the time I started selling marijuana. Right. I just happened to be, I had friends who had a bunch, and I had a bunch of friends who were always asking me. So it just kind of came with the territory, and I saw opportunity, and that happened, and that actually uh, that supported my punk rock career. Okay. It got to the point where I was, making a good amount monthly, even like as a side gig, right? Um, Not even doing it, doing it on the dangerous side, but it just became my lifestyle. Always going to gigs locally here in Long Beach, right? Long Beach, California. Did DJing and it was the DIY thing, the do it yourself thing. So um, that became my lifestyle. So uh, it all came to crashing down in about, I would say it was well, it was 2002 when it started going downhill, and that's because you remember the Twin Towers being attacked with
Mm-hmm.
airplanes, and everyone has a lot of opinions on what's the truth about that. But the bottom line is America signed the Patriot Act, and the borders got tight. So I lost my great connection. Okay, and I couldn't recuperate, and so it all went downhill. And that was a blessing in disguise. I had to regroup, figure out, I had to dig deep and figure out, how I was going to come back. And that's when my spiritual journey, took place from that point forward. And then, long story short, it got to the point of meeting my wife. We met in church. It was a rock and roll skateboard, you know, gangster biker church, but we met there, and
I
it worked
can't
out.
imagine what that looks like, by the way.
Yeah, it's very intense, really intense. It was fun. It was a great experience, great experience. And um, you know, like I said, her parents had an IT company. We both started working for them, and then that's when, in 2016, was when she was actually diagnosed, and she had to stop working. And so at that point, you know, um, that's when things started going downhill again. And we actually, our lowest point was we did become homeless. We had our truck. We lived out of the truck. We did some couch surfing, which, uh, it was familiar territory to me. So I was able to handle it more. But with her health, it wasn't a good thing. And that made it really, really, really tough. And that was more in the recent years, in the past, within the past less than 10 years. Um, and, you know, I didn't want to, I, I didn't want to go back into doing, any illegal activity. I wanted to, have by this time, my ethics and my morals and values, escalated because of the program, the Brandon Burchard, personal development programs and such, and going to church, learning, reading the Bible, taking it to heart, taking it as a personal relationship, and so now it became, I really had to dig deep with higher standards to be able to make that work, and so yeah, tapping into the digital marketing. I also tapped into Ty Lopez stuff. That's where I learned social media marketing, and a bunch of others. I really believe in the online space for, they call it the e-learning, education. And so, anyways, it's just endurance, digging deep, and you know, I during that time of uh, of struggling just to make ends meet, I had to tap back into my body work, painting, car body, auto body painting, and stuff like that to survive and get the bills paid. But at the same time, I never gave up on learning my digital business journey, and pursuing that. So, long story short, we came up from the couch surfing, living in the truck, uh, and with the help, basically this was with the agency that I'm working with now. It's called Dream Design Labs here in Long Beach. The CEO is Brandon Guthrie, my partner, and so we, I showed up to work. I showed up to work and stayed diligent and worked my way up from basically being like an intern, an unpaid intern, uh, slash helping him to scale like a right hand man kind of guy. And I built myself up to right now considered COO, uh, chief of operations. It's still a small unit, so we still wear a lot of hats, but I'm in charge of that. And um, and you're kind of seeing us really, really excel for ourselves. You're going to see it in real time. You know, where we actually linked up with Mike Barron, which is the person that you and I both met at the same time. We all met there in Orlando, and we hooked up with him as our agency mentor. Because he's already done it. And basically we fit as his ICA. You know, uh,
What's ICA?
ICA would be your ideal client avatar.
There
Or,
you go. Yeah.
basically we're his perfect avatar, his perfect someone to serve, right? And so we're doing that. We're doing that now as we speak, and so we're applying everything we figured out for our clients, for ourselves, and that's going to be, I see a lot of success happening quick. I always say good things take a long time, but great things happen fast. So I can see that happening really quick. This year's going to be an excellent year, and you're witnessing it.
Amen, brother. So are you guys in Mike's inner circle program? Is that what you
It
guys are
would be,
doing?
yeah, it would be his inner circle program.
So
Yeah.
Mike Barron, it's Barron. For those who are
Yes.
curious, he's doing a lot of work with Russell Brunson,
Hmm.
Myron Golden.
Hmm.
Like these guys are hanging around the right people, like the best people in marketing, in my opinion. Like
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
know if you got any other opinions on that.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, Steve, because it's this. I can see myself like a year from now having a conversation with you. We have to come back and do this again, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
to follow up on how it's been going, because when you talk about adversity, you talk about being rock bottom, staying on someone's fucking couch, right? I
Yeah.
don't care how many friends you got, like that can and especially with a girlfriend, right, or a wife.
My wife,
Like
that's my wife. Yeah.
that's next level stuff. Like
Yeah.
she's a good woman to put up with that.
She's my perfect wife. I prayed for my perfect wife, and here she is.
So what's your wife's name?
Her name is Tasha.
Shout out to you, Tasha.
Yeah.
I hope you're tuning in. Tasha,
She'll be watching.
I'm going to ask Steve some questions about his ideal avatar, if that's okay. Yeah, thanks, Laban. Yeah, okay, cool. So because you mentioned a word there that I haven't heard before I met you, the artistpreneur.
Yeah.
Is that how I'm pronouncing it right? Can you
Artistpreneur.
explain what that is to us?
Okay. Last year at Funnel Hacking Live, Russell Brunson had Tony Robbins speak. He ended the convention with with speaking. And one big major thing, big nugget that I took from him was he broke down. He talked about the true art entrepreneur. Then he talked about the artist, and then he talked about the manager. So there's the true entrepreneur that actually he goes and he'll lead the way and buy businesses, build them, and then sell them, exit strategy, sell them, and make his profit, right? Um, but then you have another category of the entrepreneur would be the artist, right? And then the third one is the manager. Manager likes to go in and work and be in their business. But I relate it to the artist. Basically, the artist, he builds his business and then he falls in love with his business because that's his art piece, that's his painting, that's his song, that's his, that's his thing he built, and he has like a emotional attachment to it. And so I realized, hey man, I'm more like the artist guy, you know, because I separated my entrepreneurialism mindset to I separated from my creative side, my music, which is a big no-no. I mean, as soon as I put them together, I realized, so that word represents me putting together, my my future, because trying to figure out in personal development coaching is who can you really serve, who would be your ideal client avatar, and and mostly, I couldn't say it's just the pure artist that wants to do art for the sake of art. Um, but it's not the entrepreneur that doesn't have any emotional tie to his work, right? It's not just a buck, right? I tie it together, so that's how I came up with Artistpreneur. I don't know if I heard it anywhere or made it up. I make up all kinds of words all the time. That's just kind of what I do. uh, but Artistpreneur, I figure people can relate to that word, who is an artistpreneur at heart. They can say, oh, that's me. So
Well,
that's where that came from.
yeah, amen, brother. Because I think out of maybe 175 podcasts I've recorded, I think you are the first artistpreneur. Really,
Okay.
and I've
Okay.
I had Mark Schulman, who's Pink's drummer. He came on,
Okay.
but he's a
Awesome.
professional keynote speaker, and he's been doing
Got
this
it.
for 40 years now, right?
Wow.
And was the drummer for Journey and Foreigner, and I want to know what love is.
Yeah.
But it's a different dynamic. Like you grew up in a culture that a lot of us overseas witnessed on MTV, and it's really fascinating to spend time
Yeah.
with people that grew up with. I was trying to think of the band that just sort of encapsulates the time, and it's like they sing that song Santeria,
Oh, Sublime.
Sublime. Yeah.
Sublime. Yeah.
Loving is what I got.
Yep.
Is
That's
it
right.
from it?
That's definitely a Long Beach band for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. They were when I was uh had my heyday, sowing the wild oats right here in Long Beach, because that's basically where I was born in East LA, but I basically moved down to Long Beach. That's the city that I retired in, right? Um, and I lived in Long Beach for that's where I did my street entrepreneurialism, right? And Sublime was big during that time, so it was definitely, a lot of the Sublime crew, the local Long Beach guys were a lot of my homies, punk rock thing, even I got inspired to even wanting to start writing some dub reggae type of stuff, which I really just wanted to write like punk rock and play punk rock, you know. because that's what really touched me growing up. It's just one of those things, just, the come from a broken home, and the elements, grew up with. You have a lot of aggression, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and the punk rock really captured the energy, which is basically what I want to tap into as far as using artistpreneurship, uh, artistpreneurs, other, not just necessarily musicians, but anybody using art, artistically expressing to be able to. I want to coach entrepreneurs, but for the purpose of tapping into, um, ultimately, I got to figure this out now. Though, but ultimately, tapping into childhood trauma and letting the music or the artistry, uh, supernaturally heal. Come to restoration, because I feel, like I said, our uniqueness is our personal experiences, and that's basically what my path, all those 15 or so years that I, ran amok in Long Beach, uh, being a street artistpreneur, I guess you could say. um, it I realized the music and everything, it was healing. It was healing. It was its own way of healing, and I want to tap into that, because I'm like I said, from the last time I talked to you, which is a couple weeks ago, till now, I really, something, epiphany is it's coming together. My niche, right? My niche, what is it's coming together, and who I can serve, who I want to serve, and who I could serve at the highest level. So, when we talk about being the world's greatest, I want to be the world's greatest. I would say the world's most effective artistpreneur impact coach.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. I think I get a good feel. Like I'm one of four siblings, uh, through two lots of families. One of five actually, but one of four with my father and my stepmother. And all three of my siblings are really talented musicians, and I was the funny one, right?
Okay, okay,
And so I always had the voice and can do impressions and stuff as well. So
great.
but there's a real need. Like most of the friends of them that I met, and my sister got really good musically. Like she got a record deal
Awesome.
but never made any money from it. But the significance of being able to figure out how to make money as a in this space
Yes,
is really significant, because think about all the good that you can do with the money,
absolutely.
and being okay with having money, which took you a hell of a long time, but you finally figured it
Yes,
out, which is a
yeah,
huge blessing, right?
right. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, speaking to, which your question you asked earlier about the money. Yeah, that's the relationship, that's the mindset shift, and the relationship with money that I uh, uh, had to grasp, um, and take away the limitations of what I could do, and how much more effective I can be with buying power. With that tool, with that powerful tool, and using it for goodness, and using it without a limitation, limitless, imagination, beyond imagination, right? Just letting it. I'm learning a lot about. It's all about the data. It's all about feedback from your audience. It's really, when you're serving, you're serving others, and you're filling a gap. And with the information, like I said, information being the commodity online, you're tapping into that information that you could bring someone, and and getting paid for that service of bringing that information that could change someone's life is invaluable. And so, since the reality is, we have, money is a tool. So, I mean, it should be a relationship, based on how much you can serve others, and how much you're compensated, and let it keep on, let it keep self-generating, until something that's a movement, and it's self-generating on its own, impacting the world in a better way, you know
Yeah,
as
yeah,
as
that's
right.
awesome, Steve. Hey, how do people find you, man? How do people get a hold of you?
Well, it's Facebook. You could message me on Facebook, Steve Izaki, Facebook.
EZAKI for those who are
Yes,
just listening.
yeah.
STEV. Um, what do you reckon? This is you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Conservatively speaking, what will you have in the bank by the end of 2023? You reckon?
End of 2023. Um, I wouldn't say a whole lot. I'd say the end of 2023. All right.
Yeah.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
So it's like a year and a month from now, right? Give or take.
Okay. All right. So limitless thinking. Uh, hey, let's go for a meal.
So, right. Which, and here's the funny thing, Steve, right? You throw numbers around that in here you're going, oh, God, like, if, playing safe or whatever, $1 million, right? And I know inflation's giving money a pounding at the moment, but still,
Yep.
the average wage in Australia, I think, is around about $50,000, $51,000 a year Australian. It'll be a little bit less in the US, I think.
Yep.
It's still a truckload of money. Like it's 20 years' wages for the average person, right?
Yeah.
And what's happened is, and I've experienced this, we've normalized these kind of numbers. Because you hear about people doing, multiple 6-figure days, 7-figure days.
Right.
And it's like but I think this normalization is great because it does create that, so you're breaking through that glass ceiling of what's possible. $1 million in the bank in a year and a month after living like you were effectively homeless, right? If you're out of a car or a truck, that is homeless.
Yeah.
Whatever way you want to look at it.
We had to use a post office box to get our mail.
That's 100% homeless. Which is great because, you're going to have a great story to tell. And that leads me to my next question. Is there a book in the pipes, Steve Ozaki?
After talking with you, there'll definitely be a book. And I've had this title in my mind. It's basically a title. I imagined it would have been for a book. I've had it for a long time, but maybe I'll use that. But I would call it. It has been who never really was. Okay. But
The has-been who never really was.
Yeah. Because everything I did was DIY underground. It's nothing popular, nothing. But I did it. So, but it's kind of not sarcastic, but just kind of catchy, a little bit of truth. But it will basically be an encouragement, an inspiring book for artistpreneurs, and something that they can take and apply it to themselves, read it like it's they're the ones that wrote it, and apply that for their own success. So I want to be, like I said, I do want to be the world's most effective artistpreneurs, impact coach, to change the world, make it a better place, right? Having a heart for the inner city youth, and the trauma that gets developed because of city life. It's something that is dear to me. So it would be something like that.
That's awesome, dude. Well, we'll time this to go over these numbers and to go over the improvements. It's always fun going back and going forward to see the progress and making declarations. I think
that's like 85,000 a month.
That's awesome.
To make a million.
It's awesome. So, do you have any concluding thoughts for our amazing audience today, Steve?
Well, I hope that I brought some value, something inspirational. I wanted to keep this organic, but I wanted to focus on mindset, and I want everyone to know that just being alive, just being in the flesh here and now, just being born, you're a miracle. The odds of someone, your mom and dad coming together and you being the one that made it, that's miraculous. And also just like a seed has every bit of programming in it to become that huge, that mighty oak. that programming is in that seed, and you are that seed. And as long as that seed gets what it needs along the way, it needs soil, needs moisture, needs nutrients, it needs sunlight, it needs carbon dioxide, everything that, as long as it gets what it needs along the way, it'll become that mighty oak. So if you see yourself as less than that, and maybe just this tiny seed, just focus on getting your needs met. That's, to me, that's the bottom line of function, high functionality, spirit of high excellence, spirit of high function, is getting your needs met. And keep getting your needs met, keep stringing along good decisions, and just stack them, and over time you will be that mighty oak. I guarantee it.
That's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Izaki.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Love you guys.